Welcome everybody. This quick video is about the origins of Guts. And the origins is what I mean, who is Guts' real father? I believe Guts' real father is Void. If you look at the storyline of Miru, how he presented Berserk, it does remind you a lot of Star Wars. I think a lot of fans is going to be shocked that they think it's Zod. It's not Zod. They think it's Skull Knight. It is not Skull Knight. When you look at the Skull Knight, we all know the Skull Knight is Gasserit. That's a no-brainer. I think people shouldn't even try to argue with people and dispute that the Skull Knight is King Gasserit. That's just a given. But Void has to be the sage. And I believe that Void did not receive the egg of the king like what Griffith received. And to me, I believe Void cannot stand Griffith. Just because Void gave Griffith the power and helped him does not mean Void likes that guy. I believe Void knew Griffith was destined to be the egg of the king based off of the idea of evil. And I believe Void is the sage and he received a sage Beyblade. You have to remember there's different types of Beyblades. I believe Void never came into the physical world after he died and turned into a God's Hand member. I believe the Skull Knight did used to be a God's Hand member. And something happened along the way that changed him from being a God's Hand member. Think about it. When Griffith said at the very last end of the manga, he wants to get a kingdom started, just like the old kingdom of Gasserit. We have to keep in mind, Flora, the witch, is also slick. She's not telling Guts everything. And that's what pisses me off, that Flora is hiding things from Guts. Skull Knight is also hiding things from Guts and misleading him. And another thing is, look at Zod. Zod calls Gasserit his old friend. We could tell Zod probably used to serve Void just like he serves Griffith in a similar stance. You guys just make the comparison. Look at the parallels. Look how Void serves Griffith, just like how he serves Gasserit. I believe that Zod was an apostle before Void and Gasserit ever became who they are now. Just think about it. Zod the Immortal is like the vampire Dracula. Zod is probably the oldest apostle, and he's probably older than the God Hand members we see now. And that's why he is called Zod the Immortal. And that's why he said he's seen his double-edged ploy before. Because remember, in the manga and the anime, Zod said, I've seen this double-edged ploy before. He had to seen it. And he was there to live through it. And he's looking at Guts, as Guts may end up like Void. Look at Guts' berserker outfit and his stance. It looks more similar like Void. When you look at Griffith's armor, when he's a human, Griffith's armor looks similar like the Skull Knight's. We have to keep that in mind. The Skull Knight is not a good guy. I know for a fact he's not. And Guts is getting misled. That's why the Skull Knight, I believe, is able to eat those Beylets and everything else, because Flora probably did some very strong magic with some other witches or some other trolls to help him get into that armor and suit that he's in now. Void is the only God Hand member that doesn't bear a human resemblance of his past. So that's how you can tell Void hates humans more than any other God Hand member. And the reason why I'm telling you guys that Void could never have the egg of the king, because I think he would not want to come back to the earth and become a king like Griffith. I think he despises kings. So that right there, the origin of Guts, Void may be the father of Guts. I think when Guts goes into the astral plane with that Beyblade he's carrying, I think Void may reveal Guts' past in the distant future. And I believe Void may tell Guts the truth about the Skull Knight. And I think Void may end up telling Guts the truth about Flora. That is what I'm trying to tell you guys. When you look at it, just think about the origins of Guts, how he came about. Void may be the father of Guts. It may be similar like Star Wars, how the Emperor said he met Skywalker's mother and helped conceive him. We don't know. Void could have came from the astral plane and seen a woman in a village somewhere and helped conceive Guts. That's what I believe, because I believe Guts is the sage of this earth, and Guts cannot die. If Guts die, then all hell will break loose. And Void understands that more than anybody. So I want you guys to think about the parallels with Griffith and Gasserick, and the parallels with Void and Guts. Void hates Gasserick. Remember, Gasserick was a king and became a king like how Griffith became a king. Gasserick wasn't born a king. He rose to become a king by killing off other kings and taking their kingdoms and unifying them, just like what Griffith did. And remember, Zod calls Gasserick old friend. And Zod probably used to serve Gasserick like he's serving Griffith right now. And you can tell that Void despises Griffith because he knows Griffith wants to become a king just like Gasserick. And I believe Void allowed for Guts to live so Guts could come in and destroy Griffith's new kingdom, just like what Void did similar before he died and became a God's Hand member. That's what I truly believe. And I believe Void may have had a child too, just like Guts had a child. And maybe Gasserick screwed over Void and his child and locked them in a dungeon. So we have to keep that in mind. Void, to me, is the most interesting and most mysterious character. And I believe him and Guts is more related than what we realize. Because remember at the end, when Meru said at that interview, he said the story in the end will end with Void. It all has to do with Void. So I want you guys to keep that in mind. I'll be back with another video. All Berserk friends, peace up. Your brother Jay will be back with more info. Thank you.